This is going to be the toughest fight of his career.
Sharp, relax.
The most embarrassing fight of his career.
Chair across your face.
Yeah,
Boxing scene is in chaos right now, and Anthony Joshua is right in the middle of it. Fans, analysts, and even former champions are criticizing him for taking what many believe is the most pointless and least challenging fight of his career. Once the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua fight was officially announced, the entire boxing community became divided. Some people are calling Joshua an embarrassment to the sport, while others are defending his decision with full force.
Who did Terence Crawford fight his 11th fight? I don't know. Who did Arthur Beterbiev fight? Jake Paul has found a way to make himself the cash cow early in his career to where we shouldn't care.
Jake Paul has become the fighter right now that everybody wants to fight because right now he is the cash cow. He made $40 million just off of Netflix.
He has found a way to do something with his following, get under people's skin to make people care about these fights.
What advice would you give to somebody like AJ?
That he has a lot of talent and not to get discouraged. He only loses when he quits. When you quit, all the doors of opportunities close. You know what I mean? You just got to be, you have to be game. And then don't get discouraged if you lose. Listen, you just lost. You may have got $30 million. You should give Usyk a kiss and say, can we do this again? Don't let this internalize you. Oh, I can't fight now. This white boy kicked my ass. People are laughing at me. No, he kicked my ass for $50 million or $30 million. I hope he kicks my ass again. But this time it might not work out that way. I'm gonna kick his ass. I just think the more time you lay off, the worse you get. You have to fight to be the best. You have to do it more and more and more.
What do you say to the people who say Anthony is ruining his legacy just by taking this fight?
Fans don't respect what he's done in the sport already. He's an Olympic gold medalist, two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world.
I sort of sympathize with him because I feel like if he doesn't beat him quicker than he beat Francis, people are just going to write it off. I'll ask you bluntly, have there been any discussions about there's an agreement, there's a secret contract? Have any of those discussions happened regarding this fight?
It's an 8-round professional fight. AJ wouldn't have taken it if that was the stance it had to be, if it was an exhibition, if it was you've got to hold him up for 8 rounds. It wouldn't suit Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going in there to knock out Jake Paul.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious. You can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous. It really is.
The strongest backlash is coming from traditional boxing fans, critics, and big names in the sport, even figures like Floyd Mayweather, who insist Joshua never should have accepted this fight. In their eyes, a 2-time heavyweight champion has no business sharing a ring with a social media star who hasn't earned the resume, history, or skill level required for a bout of this scale. They argue Joshua should be pursuing opponents such as Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Zhang Zhilei, or even Joe Joyce, fighters who pose real danger and who have spent years building themselves into legitimate contenders. Compared to that, the idea of Joshua facing Jake Paul has been labeled embarrassing, harmful to his legacy, and outright disrespectful to the heavyweight division. But there's another side to this debate, one that's more complex than many admit. At this stage in Joshua's career, the business side of boxing is just as important as legacy. The sport is unforgiving, careers are short, and Joshua has already gone toe-to-toe with some of the most dangerous heavyweights of his generation. People forget he has already faced Andy Ruiz twice, among many others.
A bit of glaze in that question, and you know, that seems like a very friendly question to Jake, but you know what? It's a fair question. I'm not mad at the guy for phrasing his question that way. And again, yes, that's because Jake has a massive name and a massive spotlight. Without that, Jake is not fighting Anthony Joshua in this 14th fight. But on the other side of that, the risk involved with fighting Anthony Joshua here, and some of the fights that Jake had in his first 10 or 11 fights, most pros were either having or having worse opponents for. So when people discredit Jake's career by being like, he didn't fight this guy, he didn't fight that guy, he didn't fight a number this contender, number that, look at your favorite fighter in their first 14 fights and you pick out the opponents that they had and the level of them. Sure, you'll have your outliers, your Vasily Lomachenkos and other guys that fought tough competition right away, but most, and I mean most meaning 95% of the sport of boxing, had tomato cans until he had 15 to 20 wins. Give Jake his credit. He's fought guys that even were better on his resume than some of your favorite fighters, and now he's fighting Joshua this early. That deserves the credit that I know and the acknowledgement that I know Jake is looking.
And it's a lose-lose for Anthony Joshua. However, given all of that, both men are going to make $92 million each. So forget my opinion. Who gives a damn when you can bank $92 million for having a little move around in a boxing ring? Fair play. You can't on that. However, let's talk about it. The reason I say that it's a lose-lose we'll start with Jake Paul first. The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. By the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself. Everyone says the same thing.
Joshua has also gone through back-to-back battles with Alexander Usyk, and he faced Vladimir Klitschko at a time when Klitschko was still a serious threat. He's absorbed the kind of punishment that would have ended many other heavyweights' careers. So when a massive, once-in-a-generation payday comes along, when a crossover spectacle gets pitched, when a platform like Netflix wants to turn a boxing match into a global phenomenon on the level of Mayweather versus McGregor, it's hard to fault Joshua for agreeing. And Joshua's supporters are pushing back strongly. They argue that the same people calling this matchup shameful would jump at the opportunity in an instant if they were offered that kind of money.
He beat Wallin, and he beat him convincingly.
Yes.
And that's all he can do. And I think that he should take the praise from that and build from it. But he shouldn't want the criticism to stop, because I think it fuels him.
I'm one with you, and I said that to Joshua in one of the interviews that I'd done with him. I said to him, listen, like I knew he was very angry with TalkSport and the criticism he was getting from TalkSport, etc. And I had that conversation with him and said, listen, Josh, you should be feeding off that. That's what good fighters do. You feed off that. Go and prove them wrong. Like, that's where your fuel should be coming from. And, I think to a certain extent, he's sort of done that. I said, look, you're like, if people are talking about you, it's a good thing, because that means that, you're doing something right.
He wasn't ready for Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua was a different thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, he's got more one-shot knockout
It was
power.
bad game
He took it
plan
more
as well,
seriously,
though.
too.
I know he likes to switch in. But again, like, this is where the boxing is. If you don't have that kind of intellect in the boxing, that footwork and foot positioning is, put your foot on one side, you're going to get killed. You put your foot on the other side, you're safe. You can kind of manage the power and see the punches coming. But he kept switching stances, but just leaving himself in just the wrong positions.
Yeah, he wasn't ready for a guy like Joshua.
Wasn't ready. There was a lot of hype off the Fury fight.
Also, Joshua got to watch him box in the Fury fight and see some patterns. Fury, I think, probably took him lightly.
Yes, I think so.
He's one of the greatest of all time. This guy's never had a boxing match. At the beginning of the fight, he's like, time to go to school. Like, oh, really?
Supporters argue that Joshua has earned the freedom to steer his career however he chooses. After everything he's accomplished, they say he's entitled to make decisions that secure his family's future. Anyone who disagrees, in their eyes, is either envious or ignoring reality. They also emphasize that this matchup will draw more global attention than any other heavyweight fight this year, and if Joshua performs the way most expect, he'll collect the biggest paycheck of his life along with a stunning knockout that echoes around the world. At this point, the debate goes far beyond footwork and technique. It now revolves around pride, legacy, finances, reputation, and self-preservation. Is Joshua avoiding dangerous opponents, or is he simply being strategic and protecting his long-term interests? Is Jake Paul reckless, calculated, or somehow both at once? And is this fight a spectacle, or a reflection of what modern combat sports have become? One thing everyone agrees on: the boxing world is deeply divided. Some legends are furious with Joshua, accusing him of degrading the sport, while others insist he's acting like a savvy businessman who understands today's entertainment landscape better than most. With the fight locked in for December and both fighters already deep into training camp, the controversy surrounding this matchup is only growing louder.